Good morning and welcome back. We are back here with the MS Fridtjof Nansen build series, and here we have the long-awaited Deck 6 tour. I do apologize for how long it's taken. If you were in my Discord server, you do know that this has already been completed for quite some time now, but now you'll finally get to see it in video form. I have been working on quite a few other things as well, so those will be in the next video. But this video is just the fully finished Deck 6 tour, so I do really hope you enjoy. So yeah, sit back, get your popcorn, and enjoy. Alright, so as per all of my tours, we are starting right here on Deck 7 forward, so we are on the observation deck right now. Of course, you've got the bridge there, beautiful views everywhere you look, so absolutely stunning views up here. But heading down to Deck 6, we can begin our tour. So here we have observation Deck 6. So this is a enclosed, not heated, but an enclosed observation deck, so the wind and the weather won't get to you. We've got some science tables up here with some sinks, some stainless steel, stuff like that up here, so that's nice and good. We do have some storage under the stairs here as well, and just the very typical like wood and then some fabric material for the marine ceilings on board. Okay, so coming through this side right here, we are on the port side of the ship. This is the entrance to the Nonsson Science Center. The main attraction of this ship, if you think of it like that. So instead of having a theater, there is a science center on board. So there's a bunch of artifacts and everything laying around. So we'll just take a quick look at this. We've got some lounge seating over here, a nice large group table over here. Of course, shelves and stuff everywhere you look. We have some more lounge seating over here. Of course, more shelving everywhere. We've got two science tables with microscopes and a big sink, so you can do some science experiments and stuff. More just artifacts and shelves everywhere. Right here we've got a little library, so not a whole lot going on, just more shelves. Here we have a little guest chart plotter table, so that'll show you the current ship position and other information like that. We have expedition leader desks right here, but if we cross the hall here, we have a smaller little lecture room for the Nonsson Science Center, so this is just a little setback area there. And making our way forward, you'll see these two big diagonal walls, and those will become pretty prominent here in a sec. But up here in the bow, we have got the main Nonsson Science Center lecture hall. So this is where they have the main stage and the main presentations are given about voyages, safety, and other stuff like that on board. But you will see these tracks in the ceiling, and so we'll see what those are for here in a sec. But of course, you've just got a bunch of seating on both sides and a main stage right here. So if we enter this little peninsula here in the middle, we actually have door and wall controls, so we can unlock the walls and we can move them. So you see they separated there a little bit, and then we can just move these and they will spin 90 degrees, and then we can reconfigure this space. So once we've done this, we'll have kind of an hourglass shape. Okay, and what you'll see we've done now is we've transformed this one big room into two smaller rooms. So we've got two small rooms, still with a projector in the middle, and you can still give those presentations. And now we have a little bit of a stage space out here as well for giving large lectures and information and stuff like that. But there is actually another configuration that we can do with this space up here. We come back in here, we can unlock the walls again, and then we can do full turns and move the center wall. And then this will open up the entire space. And then this will open up the entire space to be one large room, and you can do pretty much anything with this space now. So that's pretty neat. We'll just relock those walls. And then right here we have some crew stairs, and then here's that crew stair door that we saw up at the bow. So that is what's going on up here. Back here we do have two little storage closets, but those are not detailed. So now making our way aft from the Nonsson Science Center. So right here we've got a little bit of just a snack bar, so cookies, drinks, coffee, hot chocolate, stuff like that right there. And then we have two little desks, which we saw earlier. There's also some offices back there and some more storage, which isn't detailed. Right here we have the main bow crew elevator. So this is, of course, an elevator for the crew. There is a pantry in there as well, but that's not detailed. And we have access to the lifeboats. So a little emergency exit there. If we continue to move stern, we make it to the forward guest staircase. This is the forward guest elevator. You can see the floor maps right there, and then the guest stairs. So as you can see, this is the only deck that's detailed at the moment, because we quickly drop off there. But we do have exits out onto the side deck for the guests as well. And we have a deck map here, so information about where we are. You can see the two guest staircases, the front one right here, and the stern one, and then we are on deck 6 right now. So if we continue to go backwards, we've got some shelves in the walls, and then we have the main restroom area right here. So we'll just go into the men's restroom real quick. Pretty simple in here, not a whole lot going on, just a restroom, so nothing too surprising in there. And then we have the women's restroom and an ADA restroom, of course. If we make our way a little bit further aft, we have reception and shop. So this is the main onboard reception. This is where guest services and everything is. We do have a little office space in there as well. Some more storage back here. And then this is the admin side of the ship. So all the computers, printers, and everything are back here. And then there are 4 little cubicles back here. If we do go across the way here, you'll see the main guest shop. So this is where you can buy merchandise, medicine, all sorts of fun goodies. Those are all in here. And there's a changing room back here in the corner. Continuing aft, we have got the main atrium. So you guys have seen this space in its actual glory before. It's a little bit in ruins at the moment, just because there's work going on. But we will start actually on the port side of the ship. So if we go over here, of course, 3 elevators and then 2 main staircases here, and deck maps and stuff like that. So that's all over here. Okay, so over here we do have a ship model, which I think is pretty neat. You can pretty much see all the main details, and there's some information if you want to pause and read that. But you can see the pools and hot tubs and everything. All the main features are on there, which I think turned out pretty cool. On both sides, we do have this little airlock space as well. So if you want the views through the windows, but you don't want the temperature, then you can hang out in here. But then, of course, you can head back and go outside, out into the cold on the lifeboat deck. We will be using these lifeboats today. Stick around for the end of the video when we check out all of those systems. If we do hop right back inside, this is the casual bistro. Free time. Kind of a mountainy vibe. So you've got those deep wood tones, the stone, all that. I really love the style of this restaurant. And then there's some bright, vibrant colors in the seating as well. So we've got some lounge seats right here, and then a bunch of tables along the window. Some family style seating with the long table here. Back here we do have an open galley design right here. Tiny little buffet, and then some kind of galley side seating to watch your food get made. And then if we make our way back here for just a brief second, Right at the entrance here, we do have exits out into the airlock. These don't work, but they're there. As well as the main crew stairs. So we will see those towards the end. And then continuing further aft, of course, we have got the waiter corridor and the main galley, but we will check out those a little bit later as well. So if we jump across the atrium here, go to the other side. So over on this side, we have Aun, which is the main dining on board. And I do apologize, we don't have lighting in the atrium at the moment. But on this side, we do have another airlock. This one has a little bit better views because it's not interrupted with the gangway on the port side. But of course, access right out onto the lifeboat deck as well from right here. And then there are emergency exits into the restaurant itself. So coming into Aun, we do have a reception here and then a little bit of a hand washing station. And at all the receptions, you do have lights. So that goes for the main reception and the other restaurant reception. So we've got a little bit of storage and shelving through here as decoration. And then we'll start on the outboard side. So we've got seats all along the windows here. We've got some booth tables over here. Over here, we've got just more double tables and then double booths, which are elevated so you can see out the windows still. Right here, we have the crew stairs. So those do go all the way through to the other restaurant. We've got some waiter booths over here with some drink kegs or whatever. And then a bunch more seating as always. Then right here you can see the buffet starts. So you can get your drinks, your plates, your beverages, quick stuff right here at this little bar area. And then right here you can grab your plate and get your main entree with a little bit of an open galley right there to keep the main entrees hot and fresh. And then of course going around there's more plates and then more buffet sections until you get all the way to the end. Circling back around, we just have more seating, more booths, some family style seating right here. And then it goes all the way around to the stern corner of the ship. Here we have the captain's table, so kind of a main fixture here in the middle. Kind of gets a lot of attention. And then just more seating all the way up to the very stern of the ship, which is always really cool. Some more booths, and then right here we have the aft crew stairs, which we will take a look in. These are not quite finished, so all the staircases where they merge with other decks are not quite finished. But you can see the stairs go up and down. We do have a little waitstaff booth right here as well, a little bit more seating. And then that buffet just continues all the way along. You can get some beverages and stuff right here. You keep going on, and then eventually you get to the cold stuff, yogurt, stuff like that, salads. And then you get to desserts, which are my personal favorite, of course. And then there's some final little shelves here, and then that is it for the buffet. Over here we do have more seating, so some family seating over there, a nice big round table here, and just seating galore all around in here. Some nice ceiling fixtures as well as you look around. That's something that's always changing with this ship, is if you just look at the ceiling, a lot of work goes into it, but not a lot of people notice it. So the ceilings are always changing, which I think is pretty neat. If we go to the crew side though, we can start looking at how the food is actually prepared. So right here we have one last little waiter booth. And then of course some beautiful windows out to the side. And then back here behind the buffet we can go all the way around, but we'll actually just go right through here, which is the waiter corridor. So we can flick on the lights. And yes, this is the same waiter corridor that you saw in Fridtjof, the other restaurant. So there's some prepped drink kegs right here, some dish trays. And then we can come over here and through this door, and we've just done a full circle. So here is Fridtjof. We've just gone all the way around. Now all that's left is the main galley, which is kind of like an island in the middle of all the restaurants on this deck. So entering the galley from the port side here, we have got the main dishwashing station over here. So we'll go through here nice and quick and explain pretty much everything in here. So right from the waiter corridor, we have most of the dish services. So all dirty dishes will be put on these two shelves, and they'll make their way around through various sinks and dishwashers and then end up on drying racks. We'll take a look at that a little bit more in depth here in a second. Here we have a hygiene room, so this is just where they can wash their hands real quick, get all cleaned up. This is just a little storage room, weird room in there, so that's not detailed. Around here we have the beverage station, and then in here is the continuation of these dishes. So over here we have a train dishwasher, so you rinse them off, put them in the train dishwasher, they go through, and then the clean dishes come out and you put them on a drying rack. And then over here we have a pull down dishwasher, so they'll get all cleaned up and then put on the drying rack as well. And we do have an extra sink right here. And then this is a wall-mounted dishwasher for those small things. Right here, what you're looking at is the main hotline. So if you know anything about kitchens, you should know that they have the main hotline, which is where all the hot, fresh food, right off the stoves and whatever, is prepared. So this is conveniently located that the hot line pass and the cold line pass are right here. So all that final food, whether it's hot or cold, can come out through this door into Aum, which ends up right by either the entrees and the exterior galley, or it can be brought around to the other buffet stations. Or just going around the corner here, it can come out into Fridtjof and go to this galley or out to the tables. And then along this wall, we've got some small fridges and freezers. Here we have the dessert line, so all the desserts are made right there. Here's the main hotline. I do apologize for any XML clipping, by the way. You'll see a little bit of that through the food services. But we've got some ovens, some griddle tops, some induction stoves, vent hoods, all sorts of stuff around in here. We've got some small ovens, some brat pans, sinks, griddle tops, tilting kettles, vacuum machines, more ovens. So all sorts of fun stuff over here on the hotline. Here we have an elevator that goes down to the provisions deck, which you will see in the next video, actually, when we're working on deck 2. So keep that in mind. Coming around over here, we have more dishes, but these are the galley dishes. So the big pots, the pans, all that stuff. That gets rinsed off in here and then cleaned through the pull-down dishwasher and then put on the drying racks. Here we have chef offices. Those, unfortunately, are not going to be detailed. Here we have the galley head, so this is just a restroom for the galley. And then here we have a continuation of the dessert line as well as the pastry line on board. They're kind of blended together. So just kind of a work table over here. We've got some big old mixers for your desserts and your pastries. Just some more workspace, another big mixer. And then here we have the rotating pastry oven. So this cart in the middle spins so everything gets cooked evenly. And then right here we have the proofing cabinet. So this allows that yeast and those breads and pastries to rise. Right here we do have a cold room storage. So this is a basically fridge up here. So anything that got brought down through the elevator, which is just around the corner, can be put into the cold room or the fridges and freezers up here. So we've basically done a big circle. Now, if we continue to make our way forward now, I hope you're not lost. This is the main crew stairs. So these are the ones that we saw from both restaurants. So these kind of meet in the middle and connect all of those to the crew stairs. So there's a staircase that will go all the way up, as well as 2 crew elevators back here. Now, that is a whole lot of food. I hope that didn't make you too hungry, but making our way forward now, we get to play with some lifeboats. So, coming onto the port side here, you'll notice that we do have this gangway, which is right here. So what we can do with this is we can open the gate, and you just activate the gangway, and it will fold down. Then you can lower it, you can pitch it out, stuff like that. So as you can see, this can go pretty much down to the water line. So if you have to do anything, going to a dock, to an iceberg, whatever, you can use this gangway as a quick way to get to shore. Of course, there are other gangways on board, but this is just a quick little crew-only gangway. So you can see that can go right the way down there, and then you can pitch it out, or you can pitch it in. So that is this little side gangway, and that again just will tuck right back up. So with that back up, we can just hit activate gangway, and then that will come up and get stored nice and neat next to the windows here. So that is the little side gangway. Going over the safety features of this vessel, right here in this big old box, we do have an MES, or a marine evacuation system. These are big inflatable rafts, and basically a big chute, so you can jump down and then float in a raft on the sea. I believe these are mostly used by crew, but I might be wrong. Right here we do have deck lights, and then we have a whole bunch of life jackets, pack survival equipment, group survival equipment, just a whole bunch of various safety equipment right here. And then various emergency exits you'll see that we pass. So like breathing apparatus, there's a few other ones, lifeboat equipment, man overboard equipment, stuff like that. And then there's that emergency exit as well. And right over here we do have a boarding gate. So if you have an onshore thing, you can hook it up to this and then get on without using any of the ship's onboard gangways. So going from smallest to largest, front to back basically, right here we have the FRSQ, the Fast Rescue Tender. So this is specifically the FRSQ 630. It is a Palfinger model, and it goes very quick, and it's very fun to use. So I will be launching these today. You've got controls to launch it, and then the gate control right there. Right here we have a fully enclosed lifeboat, and then we have the tender lifeboat. So these are all Palfinger models, lifeboat and crane. So what we can do real quick is we can just do a quick walk around. So coming up the ladder to the catwalks for the lifeboats, we can go under the cables here, and here is the enclosed lifeboat. So this one is only used in emergency or training operations, and it holds about 63 people, I believe. Just cram them in here, and pretty simple. You've just got engines, lights, heaters, connectors, stuff like that, and a fair bit of equipment in here as well. So that is the fully enclosed lifeboat. It does have doors on both sides as well. Now, if we weave through all the cables, actually we will go over here. You can see we have polar coat equipment. So these are those big, puffy life jackets that you'll see, and these are like dry suits. So if you fall in the water, you won't get wet. So those are polar code because the ship goes to such extreme corners of the globe that you need to have stuff like that on board. So those are all stored up here next to the lifeboats. Right here we have the Palfinger tender lifeboat. So this one is used for tender operations, not just in emergencies. You'll see it's a little bit more open. There's a little bit less seating, a little bit more comfortable. You've got access out to the sides and stuff like that. So yeah, this is used for tender operations. Same controls as the last one though, but bow access and roof access on board this one. Of course, there's some more equipment in here as well. So that is the interiors of all the lifeboats here. We'll go ahead and launch them real quick. Now, a quick disclaimer for launching any of the boats on board, whether it be the lifeboats, the Zodiacs, whatever, you do need high physics. So, unless that changes, and I specifically say it changes, once you get access to this vessel, you will need high physics. So you just go to settings, general, and then physics detail, go to high. You will notice I was playing on low because you get way better performance. So you'll see I'm way slowed down now. But that is just so that the cables have enough strength to actually lift these boats. So what you can do is you can open the gate, you can board the boat if you'd like, but I'm just going to release it here, and then I'm going to winch it up. And you'll notice actually that it pitches bow up once it's lifted up, and that's just to clear this little mast from hitting the ceiling here. So we can just crane this out real quick, and this little sliding crane will just kind of pull it right out over the side of the ship. So this is just going to kind of dangle out over the side of the ship here, and then we can just hit the winch down, and then if you want, you can just hop on it right here, or you can just jump down and grab it later. So yeah, due to this little mast, it is going to pitch bow up as you move it around, so that's a little unfortunate, but oh well. So that's just going to keep going down. Okay, so that is almost to the water line, so we will go ahead and launch one of the other lifeboats while we're at it. So, I am going to go ahead and launch the tender lifeboat real quick, and so these two lifeboats are very, very easy to launch. It's literally one button. Basically, this winch will unwind a cable, and it will weave itself through the cranes, and then slack it out to basically fall out over the side. Then it'll hit a stop, and then it'll slack the cables. Okay, so this has gone ahead and hit the water line, so we're just going to release that connector there and then pull away from it real quick. So there we go. We have gone ahead and launched the fast rescue tender here. So this is a very quick boat. I believe it hits pretty much 40 knots. So whatever you are going to throw at it, it can pretty much handle. It's not great in rough weather, but other than that, she's pretty good at saving lives. It does only have one seat though, so again, not great in rough weather if you're rolling around and people might fly off. But yeah, there you go, 43 knots. So, good little boat, good for emergency missions. So, now we're going to go ahead and launch one of the tender lifeboats. So you'll notice I am on the other side. So we're just going to open the gates here and then close them back up for crowd control. And then it is as easy as hitting one button and it will swing it out over the edge and then down into the water. So we'll go ahead and just hit the down button here. And then you will hear it disconnect and then it will swing it out over the edge. So here you can start to get a good view of that cable and pulley system for those cranes. So you can see the cable comes down from the winch, it comes across and then kind of weaves through and then goes into these winch lines there for the connectors. So once it hits a hard stop, you'll see that it will automatically lower right down into the water. Okay, so there we go. We can go ahead and stop the winch there and then just jump down right into the boat here. And then from the driver's seat, we can turn on the engine here, turn on any lights, release the connectors, and then I am just going to put it in reverse, turn the rudders hard over, and then give a little bit of gas. And then we will just kind of pull away from the ship here, and then those connectors will just fly over the roof there. And there we go. Now we have launched this lifeboat here, and we can pull it a little bit further away. And then right here, you'll notice this big door. That is called the tender pit. That will get built here in a little bit. And that is what the Zodiacs use, but it works perfectly for doing tender operations with this lifeboat as well. But yeah, here you can see that we get quite a bit of speed with this one, about 25 knots, so you can really just zip around and move some people. And of course it turns on the dime, so no worries there. I can just do hard over and just get right around the bow here, no problem. Really lovely lifeboat setup. And then retrieving them is actually really easy because these cables just dangle down. So what you can do is just approach them from the stern here. And of course there are interior lights and heaters on board as well. But what we can do to reconnect these lifeboats is you can approach from a shallow angle here, so you don't quite hit that first connector, and then just line yourself up to grab the other connector here with the bow. And then we might miss it. That's okay. Nope, there we go. And then you just grab the stern connector here with the butt of the boat. Perfect. There we go. So that is her all hooked up back again. And then we can just come back over here, hit the up button, and enjoy the time lapse. Perfect. So the lifeboat is back, and then here in a second it will find the connector and it will lock back into place. Perfect. And then once it does that, you could just put your physics back down to low, get your frame rate back, and enjoy. Now you do only need your physics on high once you're actively using the crane. So once it's down in the water, you don't have to worry about it as well. So yeah, that is the lifeboat systems on board. They are pretty slick. They work pretty well. That is pretty much going to wrap up our Deck 6 tour for today. I will hopefully have another video coming your way pretty soon with the new additions that we are currently building onto the vessel as we speak. But again, this has been the Deck 6 tour. I do really hope you enjoyed watching. As always, if you did enjoy, do check out my Discord server, linked below, where we get way more frequent updates than you do here on YouTube. And of course, if you enjoy the series, do leave a like. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. So yeah, thank you so much for watching till the end. See ya.